a tree grow? Why does the wind blow? When does a flower bloom? How can a rocket shoot to the stars or land up on the moon? It's science and technology, engineering, mathematics. Get smart, keep it simple. Let's learn about STEM.
What is a bird? A bird is an animal that flies most of the time, has feathers always, and it is the only animal that has feathers, and it lays eggs. So, let's get into what makes a bird a bird. So, a bird is the only animal that has feathers. Feathers can be small and fluffy and used to keep the bird warm, or they can be long and strong and stiff and help lift their bodies off of the ground. They can be dense and oily and keep birds from getting wet, which are very special in waterfowl like ducks and geese. They can be red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, indigo, whatever. The colors of feathers can actually help you identify which bird is which. So you've got a blue jay. Blue, white, and black, very beautiful. It has a little mohawk on the top, black beak, black legs. That helps you identify what kind of bird it is. An American robin. It's black with a red belly. A cardinal. The males are red and the females are brown. So that's a good example of a male and a female within the same species actually having different color plumage, which is just a fancy word for feathers. The males are red with a black mask, and the females are brown with a little bit of red here and there. They both have that real distinct, big, like orange triangular beak. They're beautiful birds, but you can tell this is a male cardinal and this is a female cardinal by looking at the difference in their feather color. That's not always the case. The American robin, the males and the females look the same. Bald eagle, the national bird of America, the male and female, they look the same. So you can't always go by their feather colors, but in birds like the cardinal, you can tell the male from the female. In the same way, a house finch, the male has a much prettier plumage. It's got some purple on its chest. Their feathers also can help them fly. Flying is a huge, definitive trait of a bird. Birds are also aided in flight by the way they breathe. They can breathe in and out at the same time. That's really complicated. We're not going to get into that right now, but they are incredible, incredible creatures. One myth about birds is that the reason they can fly is because their bones are hollow, so they're a lot lighter. Their bones are filled with air sacs, which actually help them breathe and help them, in addition to their very unique breathing system, the pneumatized bones, which means helps them breathe, actually helps them to fly too, because they need a lot of oxygen. So, imagine you're running full speed down the street. You get to the end of the street and you are so out of breath. Can you imagine how much more out of breath you would be if you are beating your arms relentlessly trying to lift your body up off the ground? You would need a lot of oxygen to sustain the energy that you need to do that. So birds are incredibly efficient and effective at breathing and oxygenating their blood. Birds lay eggs in order to reproduce or have babies. So that's another big characteristic of birds. Again, they're not the only animals that do that. You've got frogs lay eggs, fish lay eggs. So they're not the only animal that lays eggs to reproduce, but that is another defining trait of a bird. There are some birds that cannot fly, and that's for a lot of different reasons. Some of them, their bodies are just so big and heavy and their wings are very small, so they can't lift their bodies off the ground. Chickens are a pretty common example of this. Their bodies are just really chubby and their wings are not big enough to lift their bodies up off the ground. Some of those birds that cannot fly are called ratites. They are your birds like your emus and your ostriches. They're incredibly good at running and they're super fast, and they can even kick a predator that's threatening them with their very strong legs, but unfortunately they are not able to fly. You've got other flightless birds like a penguin that's awesome at swimming, but it can't fly. But you try to get a house finch to slide its belly on the ice and it won't be able to do it. But you see a little penguin waddle its little feet and slide on the ice right into the water and zoom around like a torpedo. So even though it can't fly, it gets around just fine. So don't feel too bad for those birds that can't fly. They've got other ways to travel. One big reason a lot of birds cannot fly is because they have an underdeveloped keel. So in humans, our ribs come together at our sternum, which is a flat bone. In birds, their keel comes out like this. It's flat from the side, so it points out like this. That allows their breast muscles to have a much larger surface to mount to. So you can imagine how much larger our chest muscles could be if we had a bone that stuck out here with all that area to mount to. So we would have a lot more strength here to beat our wings if we had them. Well, the birds that have underdeveloped keels, there's just not as much room there for their muscles to be as large, so they're not strong enough to fly. I love birds, so I'm really enjoying researching them, and I myself am learning a lot more about birds, and I'm really excited to make some more videos and learn more with you.